So, you and Miss Chak has decided to pursue a relationship? Dr. Vin asks, as he welcomes the Terran into his quarters. That obvious? Simone says, as she sits down on a prepared chair. For the past 3 weeks? Yes, very obvious. Discount the fact that Miss Chak has done nothing but pester me on Terran behavior and psychology. Normally such topics are a field to discuss me. However, her particular interests on the matter are... Shall we call them specialized? Vin explains tiredly. Need me to talk to her? Simone offers, simultaneously embarrassed and amused. That won't be necessary. I've established clear boundaries with her, and she has respected them. Additionally, it's another window into you. I dare not throw away such a resource. Speaking of which, how are things going with her? Simone leans back in her seat, considering what to say. I haven't heard her yet, she says in a long exhale, and we have nightly date nights watching old Terran cartoons. She enjoys that a lot. Dr. Vin takes note of the Terran's happy yet sad expression. You expect to hurt her at some point, bodily or mental? He asks. The Terran takes another moment to formulate her thoughts. Yes, she answers. I see. How do you see yourself hurting her in a mental manner? Vin prods. I honestly don't know, but I'll find a way. It's funny. That woman has seen me kill people with my bare hands and has seen me in a very bad PTSD episode. After all that shit, what else could I do? Seriously. And yet I know there will be something about me that will finally scare her away, Simone says, as she reaches into her inner jacket, only to realize there's nothing there. She then chuckles to herself. Forget your daily dose of whiskey? Vin inquires. It was rum, and no, I purposely left it behind. I just, forgot that I did there for a sec. She attempts to brush away. Dr. Vin stares at the Terran in thought before taking a few notes. Not all relationships are smooth sailing. You will no doubt run into bumps and hurdles, but I suspect you'll be just fine in that regard, he notifies. What do you mean? Answer this. Why did you leave your rum behind for this session? Vin inquires. I guess I didn't want to rely on it this time. The Terran shrugs in an almost pouty manner. And why's that? Simone shifts in her seat, clearly regretting being rumless. After many false starts at her response and one near commitment to standing to leave, the Terran focuses on why she's here in the first place. I'm not a gentle person by nature. I'm sloppy, forgetful, and harsh with every fully relaxed move I make. When interacting with species that are not as robust as me, I have to go into the same focus I used back in my military days. Be fully aware, all the time. That's hard for me. The only thing that helps is the constant panic of hurting someone. Alcohol either numbs it or exasperates it, all the while taking away what little control I have. I need that panic to be sharp. Besides, Dave told me I was self-medicating with alcohol and needed to cut back. Win-win, Simone expounds. Can you describe this particular panic for me? Really? I can hug Chak, but I can't actually hug her. Squeeze just a little too tight and pop, major injury or worse. If I turn a corner too fast and she's coming the other way, wham! If I fall asleep next to her and throw an arm in my sleep, crush. She makes me feel like a person, and that scares me because that makes me comfortable. When I'm comfortable, the likelihood of me slipping up increases. If this is going to work, I need that panic to make sure she lives a hell of a lot longer than me. Wrestling with his own thoughts on this, Vin scratches an ear flap silently for a few seconds. If this relationship is something you both want to work, then that panic isn't going to help you. You owe it to her to be responsible and careful, of course, but you also owe it to her and yourself to not hurt yourself, to just make her happy. She needs you to focus on you, just as much as she needs you to focus on her. You following me all right? He says, rather straightforwardly. I guess, but I don't really have a choice, she argues. Of course you have a choice. You can choose to routinely damage yourself for her immediate benefit, or work with her to find mutual solutions. If you want this to work, then some work is required. You're using this panic of yours as if it's the only option, but it's not. Want to hug her as you would with another Terran? Then hug something like a pillow while she hugs you back. Workarounds of that nature can reduce your need to put yourself in a stressful state. I'm certain you two can work together in finding these alternatives. What if I slip up? Simone counters somberly. Then you slip up. The difference being the quality and integrity of your relationship. You both know what you're signing up for, risk and all. Accepting the possibility of slipping up is a hard but important pill to swallow. As long as you give it your best efforts, you've done all you could do. That's all Chak asked of you. and all you should ask of yourself. Chuck bounces excitedly as Seven emerges from the kitchen with a fresh platter of grilled cheese sandwiches. You two really enjoy these, the boss states, setting the platter down on the table.
Oh, they are delicious. I hope you don't mind making them so often. I'm sure Simone and I will crave something else soon. They just go so well with watching Terran media, Nikali explains, taking the platter in her upper graspers. Thank you so much.
You two are of differing species, Seven says, as though contemplating something taxing.
Oh, yes? Does that concern you?
Chuck asks, a bit unsettled. Different biology, independently evolved sapient end species that were not adapted to exist anywhere other than within the atmospheres of their respective origin worlds. Light years pre-existing as nature's way of reinforcing the truth that your races had no right to ever coexist in the same space. The bot continues.
Where is this going, Seven?
Chuck inquires, all the more confused and concerned. It just occurred to me how much of a miracle this all is. What it took for us to be standing here, and now. On the grandest of scales, it's overwhelmingly beautiful. Your bond with Simone is beautiful. Seven finishes. Chuck's eyes flash before dimming.
My goodness, Seven. Thank you. That means a lot to hear.
Chuck begins to respond before another previously hidden platter is placed on the table.
Oh, what's this?
Please accept these assorted Terran muffins as well. If you like them more than the grilled cheeses, you can ask for them instead, Seven says quickly. Chuck looks at the new platter, then to the one in her hands, and finally back up to Seven with a look of amused suspicion.
Seven, did you talk me up just so you could...
she insinuates. The bot slumps slightly. I've made so many grilled cheese sandwiches in these past 3 weeks, they admit tiredly.
Oh, sweetie, if you didn't want to make any more, you could have just said so. We wouldn't be mad at you or anything. It's okay,
she assures soothingly, now eyeing the... what do they call them? Muffins? That is a great relief. Although I'm fascinated with experiencing the concept of boredom is not a pleasant and duration. The two share an extended moment of silence, waiting for the other to bring up the obvious topic at hand. Chuck, of course, is the first to break.
So... I may take both of these then?
She asks, already cautiously reaching for the second platter. That was my intention. Yes, please do. Seven concedes amusedly. The Kelly snatches up the new plate of warm, fluffy bread clouds and begins backing away.
You are so very kind, Seven. Thank you. Don't feel pressure to stifle your creativity. I'm sure we'll manage. Thank you,
she chirps as she exits the mess hall. She makes the walk back and up into Simone's room, where the bed is already set up with pillows up against the wall. She sets both trays of food down on the sheets and quickly begins setting up her lens to view a screen on the opposing wall for the showing. It's her turn to choose what to watch, and her options are nearly endless with the extensive catalogue of Terran media spanning hundreds and hundreds of years. So the Callie sets up some filters and asks a randomizer to spare herself from indecision. After everything is set and perfect for the date, Chuck sits down on the bed and stares at the aromatic cooling muffins.
I suppose I can try one, she tempts herself.
Picking up a dark brown baked product, she lifts it to her mouth and takes the smallest of nibbles. At least that's how it started. She swears it was only a few additional bites. Wait, why is it suddenly tasting different? It is then she notices the half-eaten muffin in her hand is a completely different colour. Glancing down, she noticed 3 steam circles on the platter where muffins once sat. In a panic, she drops her remains on her hand back on the platter and scoos the whole thing away from her. She presses up into her communicator.
Seven, what did you put in these Terran muffins? She demands.
Something wrong? All ingredients are both Oath-Cali and Terran safe, I assure you, they respond immediately.
Seven, did you happen to put any cull nectar in these? She asks, now trying to center herself.
Yes, we ran out of all other sweeteners. These muffins required a significant amount. Does that pose a health risk for you? Seven inquires, increasingly worried.
Not in this case, but cull nectar is very addictive to my people. Only a little bit is required, all right? I almost went into a frenzy eating these, Chuck says, allowing humour to take hold by the end.
My apologies, Chuck. I'll be sure to be more extensive if, in my ingredient research, would you like me to retrieve and dispose of the rest? They offer.
No, and I forgive you. I'll just have Simone eat them. Don't want to waste perfectly good food for her. They did taste lovely, by the way, Chuck assures. Best this lesson is learned now as well,
Indeed. Apologies again, Chuck. Won't happen again, N.
I believe you, and thank you, Chuck says, before disconnecting.
Her eyes land back on the deviously enticing muffins once more. Fighting the urge, she snatches a grilled cheese and nurses on it, until the Terran finally emerges into the room. Before Simone can get a word in of greeting, a platter is pressed into her hands.
Eat these, all of them, please,
Chuck insists, backing away from the danger muffins. Simone raises her eye-tufts and shrugs. Yes, ma'am. Whatever gets you going, I guess, she teases before chomping down on one. Yeah, that's a really bad aftertaste, she mumbles before continuing to eat it regardless.
Oh, you don't have to eat them then. They have far too much coal nectar for me. Not a pleasant thing to zone out and overeat,
Chuck explains, shaking her head.
Meh, I've had far worse.
So what are we watching? Simone asks, as she settles the platter down on her desk and picks up her desecrated plasma cult.
I have the randomizer set. All you have to do is find out, the caddy replies, nestling herself on the bed against the pillows.
Nice. Fuck, I still can't get over what they did to my girl, Simone grumbles, as she looks over the new golden plating of her sidearm.
Oh, I think it looks pretty though, Chuck chimes in.
Way too flashy for her. She's a mud shot thrown through. It's like putting me in chromed out high heels. But if a rich fuck bought her and did this, better hope I don't find out. Maybe if I take some steel wool to it, Simone mutters, losing herself in thought. At least the internals are back up to snuff, I guess. Chuck shifts awkwardly on the bed, waiting for the Terran to finish up. Though after an uncomfortable amount of time passing, she decides to speak up.
Are you not feeling up to it tonight? She asks.
Like being shot by a lightning strike, Simone snaps to attention. Fuck, right, sorry, she apologizes quickly, before abandoning her sidearm on the desk and joining the Callie on the bed.
It's okay if you're not,
Chuck assures with a smile. No, I'm good, just being stupid, sorry, Simone attempts to wave away. The Terran pulls herself up against Chuck's side.
Everything alright? Heavy session today?
The Callie inquires, hoping not to come across as pushy. Yeah, I guess it was. Just a lot in my head right now, but I'm glad to get a distraction, Simone reassures, before gently wrapping her thick arm around Chuck's shoulder and bringing her in close. Something she had never done before.
I see. Well, in that case, I'm happy to help you in that regard,
Chuck says, rather flustered, as she already begins to hear the rushing heartbeat. If I ever zone out like that, don't be afraid to speak up like you did. My brain rides a single track sometimes. I wasn't trying to ignore you, the Terran explains in embarrassment.
Oh, it's alright. I understand.
Should we see what we're watching, or would you like me to... Chuck drifts into a whisper before kissing the Terran's neck, who slowly pulls away. Actually, would it be alright this time if we just watch something and stay bundled up like this? You know, just existing together. I think I really need that, Simone requests in a soft, almost sad voice. Chuck immediately presses the randomizer and rests her head on the Terran's chest.
That's more than alright,
the Callie agrees, as she wraps her limbs around the Terran and settles in.
Chuck?
Simone whispers, as the show starts.
Yes?
Thanks.
Whatever you need, Simone. I'm just happy to be here, Chuck says, as she lovingly rubs her head into the Terran.
Captain Chognog sips at his morning brew as he slithers up into the pilot seat. Satisfied from the long slumber, he casually rubs a redundant ship diagnostic. Finding the readings exemplary, the Trumbull flicks through star charts, deciding on the next jump to take towards the Wataf homeworld. A few more long-term jumps will be required, and then a few localized ones. After finding a satisfactory course, the captain disengages the current jump for realignment. However, as soon as the haze returns to open space, he drops his drink and begins frantically tapping away for an emergency blind jump. A last-generation retrofitted warship lays in wait, already trained his full armament on the Quipchap as if expected. A single cannon shot is fired. Chognog slams his grasper down on the intercom. "Brace for impact!" he declares, just as the fired round approaches. The blue, seething gleam just barely grazes the side of the hull, toasting the outer plating, but no actual damage. A warning shot, Chognog figures, as there was no feasible way that fired round could have missed. The outclassing ship withholds any more ammunition spending, confirming the captain's assumption. Then, as expected, a communication request is received. Hearing the storming Simone approach from behind Chognog, accepts the comm. "This is the captain of the ship you have weapons on. What is the meaning of this ambush?" he demands, suspecting the answer. "Ah, good. No running. Great choice." A male Terran's voice calls from the other end. "Listen up. I'll be conducting a search of your ship. If you don't find what I'm looking for, then you can be on your merry way. You have my word on that." "By whose authority?" Chognog counters. This ship's big-ass guns, bucko. Look, I'm no second-rate pirate. I'll be boarding with a few guards and non-combatants. No one has to die here, friend, the voice responds. Chognok's skin shifts into a racial off-white. If you think, he begins to respond, before Simone mutes their end of the call. The captain looks at her in surprise. Let him on board, she says in a serious tone. What? Chognok replies, utterly baffled. Would you rather have me handle it here in person, or get shot up trying to bolt? The Terran pushes. Lock everyone down in your quarters here, and I'll greet these guys in the cargo bay. The captain mulls this over for a second, before trustfully nodding and pressing down on the intercom. Everyone to my quarters immediately, we're expecting company, he addresses. Simone pats his seat and takes off towards her room. She meets up with Chuck, Dr. Vin, and Seven halfway there. Get a move on, people. If you start hearing weapons fire, I want you to barricade yourselves in, Simone orders. Chuck approaches with the Wataf canister in her arms. They want me, right? Allow me to... Before the Callie can finish her sentence, the Terran carefully takes the canister and hands it to Seven. You're coming with me, Simone informs. Taken aback by this seemingly counterproductive order, Chuck scratches at the sides of her head. Oh, alright, she agrees. Are you sure that's... Dr. Vin begins, before Simone points at him. Go, she orders again. Not wanting to argue, Dr. Vin double times it with Seven towards the front. Alright, keep up, Simone says, as she continues to her room. The Callie wastes no time trailing the Terran into the room, and watches her crack open two familiar crates. Simone pulls out a rubber-like bodysuit, handing it to Chuck. Put this on. I'll help you with the rest once I'm fully geared up, she says, as she takes out a similar suit for a Terran. Got it. By the time the Callie figures out all the straps and connections, Simone locks a gleaming metallic chestplate to her torso. With the rest of the armor, Chuck's mind can't help but to recall the Terran's night, and finds the comparison apt. She would say so if her twin hearts were not panicking so much in the pressing situation. Then with quick and knowledgeable hands, Simone begins locking in plates onto the Callie, taking only a brief moment with a helmet in hand. I think I know where this is going. If anyone asks, you are security. Got it? She says sternly. Got it. And if this goes really bad, just fucking run, okay? Take your pulse rifle and get to Chognok, locking all the doors behind you. Don't wait for me. Got it? Simone reinforces. Alright, Chuck responds fearfully. Good girl, Simone affirms, lifting the Callie's helmet over Chuck's head. Wait, Simone. I love you, the Callie says, urgently. Simone smiles and quickly kisses Chuck before locking the helmet down, obscuring the Callie's face. We got this, warrior princess. Alright, here's your rifle. Shoot to kill, but shoot only if you have to. The combat gear you're wearing can make you roughly 5 times stronger if you needed to, so be careful. Act like the world is made of wet tissue paper, even if you're sure you have it on standby. The Callie nods her adorned head and checks her rifle to make sure it's on the maximum setting. Alright, stay close to me unless shit goes down, Simone says, as she locks her own helmet into place. The Callie follows the Terran back to the cargo bay, seeing a new format pop up into her lens. She can see her life signs, armor integrity, enhancing gel muscles levels, interior-exterior temperatures, oxygen levels, and further unknown features she dare not mess with. It is then she also notices a clear dot waving around, seemingly not indicating anything in particular. However, as she jostles her rifle, the dot moves erratically, simultaneously. It is then she realizes the suit is predicting exactly where her weapon shots would land. She jumps as Simone's hand firmly rests on her shoulder. I won't let anything happen to you, the Terran says, as clearly as if there aren't two helmets in the way of her voice. I know, Chuck says back, not feeling like her words carried. There's a slight tremor on the floor. They have their ship latched onto the cargo doors, Chognok informs the two. Understood. Open the doors, Simone responds. Not a second later, the doors pop and begin to reveal the interior of a very different vessel. Not nearly as pristine as Grim build-up is easily apparent, and a dimmer yellowish lights clash with the Quipchup's current blue. 3 fully armed Terran figures step on in, as if they own the place. Passing them up around the side is a helmetless Terran, clad in much more casual combat wear. The man appears to be around 50 Terran years of age, with short brown hair and a thick, graying 5 o'clock shadow. The left side of his face is covered in a black eye patch tattoo, the eye itself glowing a mechanical, piercing cyan. He crosses in front of his lackeys, opening his arms up wide. I'm in the market for a Callie princess. Happen to have one laying around somewhere? He knowingly says, with a boldly charismatic demeanour. No. Get the fuck off my ship, cowboy, Simone orders back. Chuck glances at her, unsure of that verbal tactic, but loyally remains silent. The man's eye tufts raise. He then lifts a fist that turns into a playful point at Simone. "I knew it! I fucking knew it!" he says, with false annoyance. "For fuck's sake, Thatch, take that helmet off." This time, Chuck can't help but to fully look at Simone in shock, especially as she complies by removing her protective headgear and holding it under her free arm. "Thorn?" she simply acknowledges. The three fully armed Terrans behind Thorn look to each other in recognition and surprise. Thorn then turns his back to Simone and reaches an expectant hand out. "Pay the fuck up, right here, right now. Come on," he boasts. The three pissed individuals stagger as they reach into their nooks and crannies to dig out credits to hand over. As Thorn is still putting away his winnings, he begins walking towards Simone, who draws her plasma colt, finger on trigger to his forehead. The three beyond him panic and draw their weapons up. Unsure of what to do, Chuck takes aim at the man as well. "Whoa, whoa. Hey, loud and clear. Hey, wingnuts, guns down. This is serious business," Thorn says, looking back to the three, who followed the order. "It is," Simone agrees, still aiming her colt. "You know, when I got word someone matching your description was seen gallivanting about with the runaway Cali princess, Oh, wait a second. What in Sam Hill did you do to my baby?" Thorn derails, leaning forward to get a better look at Simone's plasma colt, currently trained to his dome. "Just as pissed about it myself. Now, if you would so kindly fuck off, that would be amazing," Simone answers. Thorn rolls his eyes and thumbs back to his goons, pointing out how the scales are tipped. He then takes a moment to peek around, eyes landing on the armed Cali. Chuck knows her face is obscured, but she swears the man looks directly into her eyes with knowing recognition. She can see a hand slip into his long brown coat. "Thack, be straight with me here. Are you playing the game, or is this your people?" he asks, still giving Chuck a stare of intent. "They're my people. My real people," Simone responds without hesitation. Releasing a tight breath, Thorn dramatically pulls his hand out, wielding nothing. However, his hand is in the pointing position to mimic a firearm. He steadily takes aim at Simone. "Bang," he says in a dull drone. "Bang, bang. Fuck, I missed," he continues on with that tone of voice, turning his hand to the side. "Bang. Bang, bang, bang. Shit, they're running. Better chase them. Bang." He then aims upwards, into open air. "Oh no! They have a heavily armed attack shuttle. Take cover. Boom, boom. Bang. Oh no! They're threatening to fire missiles into our ship through the cargo doors. Oh no!" Already getting the picture, the three other Terrans begin to holster their weapons and remove their helmets. Utterly confused by everything going on, Chuck watches as even Simone's posture relaxes. Then she practically runs up to the man and gives him a hearty hug, as if the earlier tension never occurred. The man cackles, slamming a hand against the metallic backplate of Simone's armor. "I missed you, cowboy," she says, almost reverently. "Right back at you, Thatch. Quite the gig you got here. You versus the whole fucking universe? How am I not surprised?" he replies, as the three others casually walk up. "Still haven't cut that hair? Bitch, you're just asking to get snagged," a female pipes up. Simone and Thorn turn to them, showing an arm over shoulder embrace. "Brandy? Still being those fuckboys' mother, I see. Troy, Devin," she addresses. Major conflict arises within Chuck. Although Simone is now acting very friendly to these Terrans, her instincts keep her at bay. "Damn! What happened to Thorn's pistol?" Troy asks, while poorly holding back laughter. Got caught up in a trafficker's den. They sold it off to some rich fuck who didn't think she was pretty enough," Simone explains as she willingly hands it to Thorn. The man shakes his head, turning it over. "I have half a mind to repossess her. At least you got it back," he grumbles, before returning it. "She seen plenty of action?" "Plenty," Simone asks. "Don't worry, that shine ain't gonna last long." "Good. So how'd you end up with a princess like her?" Thorn inquires, thumbing back at Chuck. The Cali takes a horrified step back as the five Terrans all turn to look at her. "That obvious? Could have been a leftover Royal Guard," Simone argues. "Royal Guards don't leave their safety on when royalty's at stake," Thorn points out, causing Chuck to check her weapon and confirming such. The four stranger Terrans bark aloud at this display. "She's still learning, she'll get there," Simone reassures. "That bounty on her is pretty steep. Must be one hell of a story for you to not cash out," Devin finally speaks up, doubtful. That your backup retirement plan?
You heard what she said, Devin, Brandy snaps. Take it seriously.
Right, Devin dismisses.
You know I don't give two shits about credits. She hired me, I'm just doing my job, Simone explains.
Oh, shit. You're shagging the fucking princess? Troy blurts in realization, catching a hint in Simone's facial expression. Shut it, Troy. Come on. Simone would crush the poor girl and have no other choice but to cash out, Thorne counters, causing a ruckus of barking laughter. Until they notice Simone's reddened silence. Suddenly anticipating in shock, the four Terrans begin glancing back and forth between Simone and the Callie, awaiting confirmation. Well, yeah, but that wasn't, Simone cays, before being brawled by hollowing Terrans. Ah, Simone fucked a space princess, Troy declares with a fist in the air. Fucking champion of Terran kind! Very concerned whether this seemingly violent display could turn poorly, Chuck starts to speak. Is everything alright now, Simone? She asks.
Just hang there,
Simone responds directly. Can't we probably meet her? If she's your people, she's mine, Troy asks, before Thorne clasped down a hand on his shoulder. I'm sure we get along like whiskies and sunsets, but don't forget why we came here. Simone has enough to worry about. She doesn't need 4 rowdy bounty hunters crowding a high-priced lady like that. As a matter of fact, I think we inconvenience her enough, so say your farewells. We're heading out, he orders. The three, not fully pleased with it to different extents, still concede at the command. Don't be a stranger, Devin salutes before heading off first. Back at ya, Simone responds. Cut your damn hair, Brandy shouts before snickering away. You're not my real mum, at least you care. Troy playboxes with Simone's gun before grabbing a quick hug and jostling after the others. See ya, champ, there's got your girlfriend, he cheers before waving at Chuck. Sorry for trying to cash you in. Take good care of our girl. Chuck reflexively waves back awkwardly. Remember to eat your vegetables, kiddo, Simone calls out back in mockery. Who is the mum now? A distant Brandy yells back. Thorne sighs and shakes his head. Fucking fucknuts, he says. They seem good, Simone notes with a shrug. Yeah. Thorne draws out like a tired dad. Jamie? Simone asks quietly. Plasma to the chest. 9 months now, he responds before clearing his throat. You're looking good. Got some colour in your face, spirit in your eyes. It's good to see that, he says, tapping the back of his hand on her shoulder plate. Been getting better. Even seen a therapist if you believe it, Simone says with a chuckle. No shit. Sounds like that little lady is just what you needed. Ignoring the whole everyone out to get you thing. Sorry about that, by the way. Just glad it ended like this. Hearing you through the comm, didn't know what to expect, Simone admits. I see that. Got all dressed up and everything, he points out. Glad I don't have to remind you of the sword that's after you. Meh. Considering the best is out of the picture in the foreseeable future, I think I got this, Simone says with a wink. Careful now, you're gonna make this old bounty hunter cry. I better head off before my reputation takes a hit. Oh, right, few things first. Thorne picks out a small device and drops it in Simone's hand. In case you need to contact us. And, well, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to drop someone off on you. Just some guy who paid us to interview the princess after we attained her. Do what you want with him. I suggest letting him loose at the next station you drop by. Fuck's annoying as all hell. How thoughtful, Simone utters. Thorne cackles before pressing into his comm. Hey, Sir Truthful, get your shit, you're jumping ships. No, you'll still get what you paid for. Right. Shaking his head and begins walking towards the cargo doors. See you when you're Queen Empress of the Universe, he farewells. See you, Space Cowboy, Simone responds with a wave. As soon as Thorne leaves her side, she feels the Callie's armoured hand grab hers. Were they an old pack of yours? Chuck asks. Yeah, they sure were. Then why were you so worried about what might happen? They seem to still care about you, Chuck points out. Still very much puzzled on the transpired events. People change. In their line of work, people change a lot. I've seen it, Simone reasons. I don't understand. Why aren't you still with them? Simone sighs and looks away. I'm prepared to drop another Simone bomb on the Callie. I was putting them all at risk. I became a problem, so they cut me loose. I didn't blame them. They even tossed me some credits, and Thorne gifted me this, she says, holding up her Colt half-heartedly. Alright, but why do they think you are a problem? Because I was one. A big one. How so? Chuck presses. You know you can tell me. I promise not to hold it against you. Simone bites at her cheek. I know. I'll explain it all a bit later, okay? For now, let's just say alcohol wasn't the only thing I used to cope with.
but nothing that's a problem now, I swear, she admits, moving her eyes to the cargo doors. I'm not sure Chuck starts to say, before a loud scritching sound erupts from the cargo doors. The two turn to see a completely new but known individual scamper aboard. Simone's eyes expand as she recognizes who this fucker is. No fucking way, she whispers, in both horror and amazement. Welcome to Defo Dealer, episode 3072. Today's topic, Terrans hunt the runaway. Or at least that's what I had planned, but due to some last-minute shake-ups, the topic is now Terrans protect the runaway. Well, at least one. I am your host, Thorpe the Truthful. This live episode is sponsored by Mondoon Beak Polishers. More on them later. Today I have a record-breaking 5 guests sitting here with me. First and most importantly, I have the runaway Kelly Princess herself. I know many have claimed to have had an exclusive interview, but dear listeners, this is for real. I'm on her ship as we speak. I know this is a audio-only podcast, but I swear by the stars above, she's sitting right in front of me. Princess? May I call you Princess? Please, won't you introduce yourself? Thorpe intells into his recording device, as he stares his single eye towards the caddy across from him. The group sits along a table in the mess hall, with the host solely on the other side. Chuck leans forward in hopes to sound more clear. Yes. My name is Chocolata Mortaz, or just Chuck if that's what you prefer. I'm a survivor of the Cali Royal coup, and I've been on the run for a few years now. I wasn't sure if coming on here was such a good idea at first, but I've decided that perhaps sharing a bit of my story may help my cause. Thank you for having me. Thorpe vibrates excitedly. No, thank you, Princess. It's an honor to have you as my guest. Now she is not alone. Her entire crew is here to satisfy your curiosity on the perilous lifestyle. Let's go from left to right, and have you all introduce yourselves. Hello, my name is Seven. I am an awakened and security bot, but cooking-ing is my passion and job here. I'm also vegan. Well, I'm not sure as to why it's necessary for me to be here, especially since this is how I've been told that Chuck is in fact the runaway princess. Though I suppose that should have been obvious. I'm Levaticus Troldi of the 4 family Vin, or simply Dr. Vin is fine, species Noxy, and the ship's therapist, specifically for the Terran crew members. Oh, I suppose we skipped me, right? Or should I go again? Oh, I forgot to mention I'm Simone's girlfriend. That's a Terran term I just learned. Oh, sorry, we haven't gone to you yet, Simone. Chuck stammers nervously. You and the Terran? How? Right, to the Terran, Thorpe insists. Hey, name's Simone Thatch. I'm the chief of security here, and it took me a lot of convincing that this signal can't be traced, she says in a very threatening manner.
Wahaha, I assure you it can't, Miss Thatch. Greetings, I'm the ship's captain and pilot, Sir Chocolate the Fifth. I'm a decorated veteran who still proudly serves Princess Chocolata Mortaz. Although I'm but a humble trumble, my family has been loyal to the royal family for generations.
How exciting this is! Not only do we have direct insights into a Deathworlder, but a famous princess as well. Now, dear listeners, over on my net site, you will have been able to send in your very own personal questions for me to ask my incredible guests. Want a scoop? Advice? Be sure to let me know, Thorpe declares. Simone looks to Chuck, unsure. I really don't see how this will end well.